Nursing programs can often have an attrition rate anywhere from 20 to 50%. Are nursing schools really that hard, or are schools setting students up to fail? So in this video, I'm going to explain both sides of the argument. One of them is a pro-school argument, and the other one is kind of our own perspectives as students and clinicians out there in the field. Nursing programs are notoriously strict on their students in regards to attendance, assignment requirements, and specifically grades. A lot of schools, for instance, have a really high bar that you must get above in order to continue on and pass the class. Some of these are as high as 77 to 80%. The question is this done to weed out people before they get to their last semester and be able to sit for the NCLEX? Or is this just something that ensures that you graduate safe nurses only? I'm going to explore both sides of the argument, starting with the school side. One of the arguments is that strict grading ensures that safe nurses graduate. Or in other words, they're not going to graduate somebody unless they are considered safe out there in the real world. This is kind of what the pro-school side of the argument is. The critical perspective of this is, regardless of how strict everything is, such a high attrition score, does it point to something else? Does it point to a lack of student support? Does it say that there's something wrong with teaching methods in general or the courses? Some even argue that nursing schools protect their NCLEX pass rates by weeding out students that are kind of borderline instead of helping them through. Currently, where I go to nursing school, 77 is the threshold. Now, there is a separate threshold for the grade, and there's a separate threshold for the exam average. Both of those must independently hit 77% in order to continue on. Now, you can always make the argument of the reason why that's so high is so that somebody doesn't get all the way through nursing school just to not pass the NCLEX. You can look at this from two different perspectives. One, do you want your time as a student wasted in 2 years of rigorous education just to get to the end and not have the capability of passing the NCLEX and ever becoming a nurse? Wouldn't you feel like, as somebody that's gone through all that education, that your school didn't properly prepare you? On the other hand, it does look like nursing schools do protect their NCLEX pass rates above all else, and that's actually the reason why. It has nothing to do with producing safe nurses. And what I have to say to that is, I somewhat agree with that might be the issue, but I don't work in education and healthcare at this point in time. If that is the case, that's not the root cause of the issue. The root cause of the issue would be this. Nursing schools are primarily ranked nationwide based on their NCLEX pass rates. If it is true that nursing schools push people out instead of helping them in order to have better NCLEX pass rates, the root issue would actually seem to be whoever's requiring nursing schools to be ranked by NCLEX pass rates to begin with. Personally, I just think there's a fundamental flaw with how nursing programs are put together, how exams are put together, how assignments are put together, and decided what assignments you're going to do, in what order, and what's going to be taught in what order, and in what way, and exactly how. There's a lot to unpack, and it mainly comes down to this. Even if you get your master's degree in nursing education, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have any expertise in putting a program together. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I have a background and a master's degree in instructional design, and I know how programs need to be put together. I also know how tests need to be made, what assignments need to have in order to be considered appropriate. The idea of a valid or invalid test question really doesn't connect with a lot of nursing instructors today, and that's because, to be fair, that's not what their expertise is. Nursing instructors are absolute experts in nursing, and most of them that I've seen are also very, very good teachers. So it has nothing to do with the instructors themselves. I would argue if you're saying the reason for all the high standards are to graduate only safe nurses, I would say that your priorities are a little bit out of whack, because if really the only important thing was to ensure you had safe nurses graduating, more emphasis would be placed on clinical skills and clinical grading rather than just exam grading. It's very clear, because of the high emphasis on high test scores and high assignment scores, that not enough focus may be being placed on the clinical side and the hands-on skill side. If you really wanted to ensure safe nursing, you would make sure that most of your exams are done in a clinical simulation environment, orally or being carried out physically rather than taking a test. Although taking a test needs to be emphasized because everybody at the end of the day is going to have to pass the NCLEX to become a nurse, if you're really saying safety is the number one reason behind everything in every nursing school, I would just have to point out maybe you should shift your priorities away from assignments and tests and maybe a little bit more towards assessing clinical skills. So this was a really kind of first for me, talking through a controversial issue in nursing and nursing education. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, hit the notification icon. Also, look in the description for the links to my podcast. I try to do at least one a week. Last week I wasn't able to because there was a lot of stuff going on both in my personal life and in the world, frankly. So thank you so much for watching. Go out there and earn it.